Welcome to Create Tutorial or Google Sheet. One thing to note is that I'm using a Google Sheet here. Product launch signups has the name, email, and sign up dates for people. And I'm showing Google Sheets, but this will work the same way for each of the other upload types. What we want to do is we want to create rows underneath here. We're going to go through how to do that. So first of all, you come here, you click on Quick Start Code and create. I'm going to be using Postman, which is a software that lets you make API calls without knowing how to code. And if you do need some code help, then we have code samples here for all these different languages. You can get started from those. Otherwise, if your language isn't here, and you can Google how to make REST API calls in that language of your choice and use these guidelines in order to get started. So first thing to note is to create rows, we're going to make a post call and we're going to make it to this URL, api.apispreadsheets.com/data/, and this is your file ID. This is going to be different for each file. We already included here, but if you ever have to create your own, all you need to do is append file ID after this URL. We're going to take this URL, we're going to go to Postman. Remember, we're going to make a post request. We're going to enter the URL. The other thing to enter is the data. So you can enter data in one of three ways. You can enter it with this. It's a JSON column of data and then a JSON object of the data. This creates just one row. This is the easiest if you want to create just one row. However, if you want to create multiple rows, then we have these formats as well. You can create it in this format where it's data and then an array and then objects inside that array and then column, a JSON where the keys are the column names and the values are arrays of the number of rows that you want to add. So let's start with the column value one. So let's say we want to create just one row. We want to come to body here. We're going to come to raw JSON and let me copy that so it'd be easy. So we copy this here and we have data. So we have name, email, sign up date. Let's say our new person is Bill Gates. So we have bill@microsoft.com and let's say he signed up today, which is 2022. We have our URL. We're making a post request with our data format correctly. We send it and then we wait, and 201. 201 is the status response code you will get back if everything went properly. And here we see Bill Gates, bill@microsoft.com. Now let's say we wanted to create multiple rows at one time. Well, we can pick any of these two data formats, either the row format or the column format. Let's say I want to pick the row format. So I want this one. You can copy it, paste it. Let's say I just want to create two rows. We don't need this third object. I just want to create two. Jin Yang from Silicon Valley. Let's say the other character is Michael Scott from The Office. Okay, so I have my data now. I have my URL. I send the request and 201 created. Michael Scott, Jin Yang. So now that we have that covered, let's go through some scenarios where you might actually see some error codes. Yeah, so let's say you're creating this and then you had column names that were not, then we're going to get a 400 bad request. So in either case, if you misspell this or use some other key or your column names aren't in the file, then you'll get a 400 error. Okay, another error you might see, especially if you're in the free plan, is the 402 error. So let's say we wanted to add another person, and this time we have everything proper. We have the name, we have the email. In this case, it would be, say it was Nikola Tesla, Nikola@acdc.com, and then we have sign up date, which say signed up in 1914 on New Year. So we have everything ready, and our column names match everything, our data is fine, everything is good. We send it, we get a 402 payment required error. Well, what happened here? 402 means you have exceeded your requests per day. So on a free plan, you have 50 requests per day, and if you're getting a 402, that means you have exceeded those 50 requests per day. Well, then what if you want to keep creating rows? What do? Well, then you must upgrade to the next tier plan, which in this case is the Pro plan. So let me upgrade here. Okay, cool. I have updated. Okay, so now that I've upgraded, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to send over my requests, and voila, it has been created. Nikola Tesla. Great. Now another advantage of having a Pro account is, let's refresh this and you'll see, is that I get to make my APIs private. So having a private API gives you both access and secret keys. So I make this private. Now in my request, I must include access key and secret key headers. So here are my access key and my secret key headers. So now I'm going to go to headers and access key, and this will be my value, and secret key, this will be my value for that. And any further API requests, I will need to include both of these keys, access key and header, secret key. And now I see my data has been created again, another row of Nikola Tesla. However, you might get an authorized error if you're not using your access key and secret key properly. So let's say we get rid of our secret key, we're not sending it, we only have our access key and our data. Well, now that we make a request, we get an unauthorized error, 401. So it has been failed to be provided. So you must include, if your file is private, you must include both access and secret keys. Now let's go over one final error is if you have your access key and you have your data and nothing is working properly, well, what can be the cause? If you get a 404 error, file ID is wrong, you should get a 400 error. And then finally, there's two more types of errors, a 500 error and a 502 error. A 500 is something that happens if something went wrong on our servers. If that does happen, feel free to contact us. Google Sheets and Dropbox especially. 500 can go either way. It means maybe there's something wrong with our server, or most likely there's something wrong with us being able to connect to your account. And since Google Sheets and Dropbox are third-party services, and AWS as well, we can't always control when they might change something or if their servers are not working properly. So do reach out if you see a 500 or 502 errors. And that's all for Create. Thank you.